dear viewers, welcome to another episode of Disability and You. Today we have a special topic on the importance of Zambia Persons with Disability card, which is a must-have card for all persons with disability in Zambia. On the program today, we are diving into the process of registering a disability card and the real-life impact it has, from public services to personal dignity, which is a small card which carries big value. We have before us ZAPID Rehabilitation Officer Ruth Litebele, who will highlight more on the matter. Welcome to the program, Madam.
Thank you.
We want to find out how important is it to have the ZAPID card?
Okay, thank you very much. So before I go into the importance of the card, I just want to mention that Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities is a quasi-government institution established under an Act of Parliament, the Persons with Disabilities Act number 6 of 2012 of the laws of Zambia. We fall in the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services, and we are established to plan, to promote and coordinate disability services in the country. So coming to the importance of the card, the very Persons with Disabilities Act that I mentioned in section 15 gives the mandate to the agency, that is the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, to register all persons with disabilities in the country. And in section 15, it talks about one of the mandate is that the agency should be able to keep a disability management information system where all persons with disabilities should be there. So the card is very important in that it acts as a passport to social protection, empowerment, and different government subsidies that are provided. So for one to enjoy those services, the government provisions that have been established to improve the lives of persons with disabilities, it's very important that one has to have a card.
Right.
Yes.
Can you expand more on what the law stipulates with regards to accessibility?
To accessing the card?
Yes.
Okay, so just as I said earlier on, that in section 15, the agency gives the mandate to the the act gives it gives authority to the agency to register all persons with disabilities. So for one to access the card, the act also stipulates where somebody can go for them to access a prescribed, the form that is used for assessment. So Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities offices is one office that can issue out the prescribed form. Also, the law provides for at health facilities, Zambia Statistic Agency, learning institutions. Yeah, so if somebody doesn't get that form at those institutions, they can always reach out to ZAPID and even social welfare, our sister department.
Okay,
yeah.
and can you expand more on what the law stipulates with regards to accessibility?
Accessibility?
Yeah.
Accessibility to buildings and all that,
yeah.
So the law is quite clear in terms of accessibility. All public buildings, as long as people are providing a public service, their building is supposed to be accessible. It's not only about buildings, actually, even services are supposed to be accessible. So for buildings, I'll give an example of stairs, for example. You'll find that will make a person with disability fail to access a service because of the stairs. In in services, for example, if we have a person with a hearing impairment, if no sign language interpretation is provided, it means that person will not be able to access the service that is being provided. So the law is very clear. All services, as long as they are public services, they are supposed to ensure that accessibility is provided so that the service is accessible to everyone regardless of their disability.
Right.
Yes.
We have, there are many instances where public transport, they've got little or no regard of persons with disability to access or to either board or disembark the public vehicles like minibuses and other public road transport services. What is ZAPID doing about this to address the matter?
I'm not really from that section, but what I know is that Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities has got a department, the Inspectorate Department, and they have been working with the Road Transport and Safety Agency in ensuring that laws are provided to protect persons with disabilities. And I'm sure in the near future we are likely to see a statutory instrument that will ensure or compel public transport to just make sure that persons with disabilities are provided with reasonable accommodation.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting back, how is the state of affairs in Zambia regarding issues of accessibility?
We are there, no here. We still have quite a lot of work to do. Yeah, we saw a release of a cabinet circular in September last year where there was a circular which was released to ensure that, or to compare all public buildings to be accessible to persons with disabilities, but we have not seen much being done. But as the agency, we are working with different institutions, inspections are done, malls, and so far so good. People are adjusting their buildings. Those that are coming up, we are seeing provisions being put, ramps, and all other provisions being put, but we are still very far. It's very important for people to actually know that those things are provided for in the law, even as they are building. It's actually a right, because disability can happen to anyone at any time. And if, for example, in a workplace, accessibility is not provided for, you find that somebody can fail to access their own office. Yeah, so that's why it is important to just ensure that accessibility is there. Let us build buildings that can be accessed by everyone, regardless of disability.
Have you had any encounter where members of the public are hostile to your campaign for accessibility?
Not really hostile, but because it usually involves adjustments. If, for example, people have already built, so you would find they'll be a bit reluctant, but we usually give a period of adjustments. If they don't do the adjustment, then the law visits them. Yeah, so not really hostile, but you find now they'll say, but where were you? But ignorance to the law does not excuse people from doing the correct things. Yeah.
All right. How is ZAPID dealing with the current state of affairs regarding accessibility vis-a-vis the welfare of people living with disability?
Okay, so we do awareness raising, we work with cooperating partners. We saw the development of accessibility guidelines last year, which was sponsored by, it should be ILO, yeah. So those are some of the issues that are being done. And also the same circular that I talked about, it was through the engagement of ZAPID with Cabinet that the circular was released, to just ensure that people comply, and also just to ensure that people are aware that it's actually something that is enshrined in the laws of Zambia, that buildings, services, transportation is supposed to be accessible to all.
Has it made an impact on the general public being aware, and those people who are into construction, especially these days, we see skyscrapers, a number of structures being put up left, right, and center in the country. Has there been any evidences we can point at that, yes, we as ZAPID, we mandated this company to follow this structure, and they have followed suit?
Yes, there's evidence. I think earlier on I mentioned to you that I was the Lusaka Provincial Administration, yes, when I was still at the province. And through our engagement with the provincial administration there was issues of putting a lift. I'm not sure if it has been put, but the procedures had started. We even were part of the reviewing process of the bidding and all such.
Right.
So there are quite many people who, through the engagements that ZAPID has done, that have been able to adjust even the buildings that are coming up, though there's still much to be done. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Getting back to the ZAPID card, can you point out where there are some success stories which our viewers would like to know, that yes, if I registered for the ZAPID card, I'll be able to benefit like the way my friends in such and such area has benefited?
Well, there are so many examples of successful stories regarding the card. Right now, the Teaching Service Commission has got a 10% in terms of quota system that is allocated to persons with disabilities when recruiting. And there are so many people with disabilities, teachers with disabilities, who have been recruited through that provision. And somebody can't be recruited without the card. They can't be recruited without the card. So that is one successful story that we have. Just the recent teacher recruitment, we saw about 202 teachers with disabilities who were recruited. Even in the health sector, the recent recruitment that happened, we saw some persons with disabilities that we had recommended as ZAPID were recruited, and it's because of the card. Even the private sector, last year, is it last year or early this year, we were contacted by ZAMBIF to provide a name of a person with disability. And we had to send the documents, including the photocopy of the disability card. And they were picked, the person was picked. So there are a lot of successful stories, not only employment, even in NIMA services, the National Health Insurance Scheme. We write recommendations, and somebody will be put on NIMA just with the card. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
How is the agency engaging stakeholders to ensure accessibility?
Well, it's in different forms. We have an up and running website where we post certain things, information there. We equally have an official Facebook page as a PID. We also have engagement meetings with different stakeholders. The Inspectorate Department would have elaborated more on that, but I'm aware of certain meetings that I've attended in partnership with the department, like the Lusaka Water Initiative, where the organization partnered with ZAPID to see how the water sector can be accessible to all. So it's all angles. We can't just talk about health, we'll not just talk about education, but all angles. How well can accessibility be promoted in that sector? Because persons with disabilities require services, all services just like any other. Yeah.
Okay. And what are you telling people living with disability out there in the rural areas, especially like Shangombo, Kanakantapa, and the like, on the importance? Why should they get the ZAPID card? Okay,
so there are persons with disabilities first, because they are not living with disabilities. There are persons with disabilities, and people out there in Shangombo. I will tell you that ZAPID is present in all the provinces. In all the 10 provinces, it's present there. And we have had programs even from Western Province where ZAPID has gone with partners like Disability Rights Watch to Shangombo, to do an exercise of registration of persons with disabilities. They don't just start with the registration process itself. They usually start with sensitization. So they'll speak to why it is important to have a card, the benefits, and also the process of doing it. And sometimes you'll find they'll go with the whole team, including a medical personnel, because we don't do this alone. The assessment is done by the government medical practitioners. We have meetings with stakeholders. We have had programs like this same one that we are having today with Zanis. This is a very, very good program that will raise awareness, because Zanis, I'm sure its coverage is wide. So we've had also engagement programs with radio stations where awareness raising is done. And through different platforms, whenever we have a meeting, I think I was with the inspector late last month, where we were invited by the junior parliamentary group, a young group of youths, youths who act like parliamentarians, and they have different topics. And on that particular day, they were talking about disability inclusion. And that is something that we embraced, and it's something that was very useful and important, because there were a lot of stakeholders there, and we were able to raise awareness in terms of how the church, because even church representatives were present there, how the church can come in to ensure that even their buildings are actually accessible, including community. It should start from our own homes, because even in your own home, if you build it in a way that it is not accessible, you can fail to access your own house, and you have to start making adjustments, which are quite expensive. So we do raise awareness, or we do engage stakeholders in different forums, as long as we are provided with the opportunity, we raise, and sometimes we create, as I mentioned earlier, that we plan. So in that department, that is their role actually. They will plan, where do they go to raise awareness, how do they raise awareness, just to ensure that everyone, whether government, private institutions, all understand accessibility issues and their importance.
Okay. Can you say that your efforts have been successful so far?
So far, so good. I would not say 100%, but probably around 50% so far. We are trying, and they have been successful. We have seen really the engagements bearing fruits, in that even the buildings that are coming in, we are seeing the provisions of accessible toilets, provision of accessible parking lots. Though you would find that you still need to raise awareness, because sometimes you find a person without a disability to park there, and if the guard does not know that that provision is reserved specifically for persons with disabilities, they will allow them to park. And some people actually, we have even heard stories where somebody will bribe the guard so that they park, because that place is usually free. But that is against the law. And just where human perspective is concerned, you find a person with disability will not have anywhere to park. And that place is usually near the services, for easy accessibility to the services. So we have seen that through the engagements, even universities, UNICAF, we had an engagement with them. And just different institutions, I think they are slowly getting aware that these things are actually very, very important, not only on the law side, but also very important in terms of even for their members of staff.
Okay. There are instances under this modern day Zambia, there is some advanced technology in buildings, one of them being tiles, which are in some cases very dangerous to people living with disability. What is your word of advice and position as ZAPID on the matter?
Okay, so we have an accessibility tool that is used, and that accessibility tool, when you use it, you find that even issues of the floor are provided for. A floor is supposed to be a rough one. We have actually seen a situation where people have put a ramp which is not accessible. They will put towels, they are slippery towels. For them, they feel that is okay. But actually, that is a danger, a hazard to any person, even a person without disability, they could do fall and actually injure themselves. So I'll just encourage the public to come through to the agency. We have an active department that is solely dedicated to issues of accessibility. They'll advise you, they'll give you the accessibility tool which you can use, starting from parking slot, floors, elevators. The right measurements will be given to you, and you'll be good to go.
Right. Kindly give us a guide to ensure that all forms of accessibility are provided.
I think universal standards are supposed to be applied. That's all I can say. Yeah.
All right.
I didn't come with a guide. Like for the ramp, I know that it's 1 to 12. Yes, that is something that is used. So you measure the height of the ramp, the first side, the longest side, and then it has to be, that height will have to be multiplied by 12. That will be the how do you call it now? The distance of the ramp. Yes.
Right.
Yes, the measurement of the ramp. Yeah, so that is one of the measurements that is used, like when you are making a ramp.
What of in areas of transportation and employment opportunities? How is ZAPID dealing with these issues?
For transportation, I think I earlier mentioned that ZAPID works with Road Transport and Safety Agency to ensure that even just the public are aware, that even the bus drivers are aware that when they see a person with disability, they should prioritize them. And issues of statutory instruments are on the way, and I think that is what will make it even more enforceable. Regarding employment, on that one we are scoring as ZAPID together with the government of the day. At least provisions, quota systems are being done to ensure that whichever employment happens, there's a reservation specifically for persons with disabilities. And we would encourage persons with disabilities out there with different qualifications to visit ZAPID. They submit their qualifications, we put them in the database. We just receive requests sometimes randomly. An institution will just call you to say, we are looking for somebody who has done such a course, and we'll just go into our database. And sometimes you'll find maybe that particular course is not, the profession is not there. We'll still have to start now calling people and all that to help us. So I will encourage persons with disabilities out there to come through, bring your qualifications, we enter you into the data system. Things are happening, people are getting employed.
Right. Well, just in case you have any other matters that we've omitted in this discussion, feel free to
raise them.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I would just say that disability really, as everyone says, is not inability. And what really makes a person to be disabled are the barriers that exist. The barriers like attitude. People still have a lot of poor attitude towards persons with disabilities, which we should all work at. Persons with disabilities, given an environment to thrive, they can actually work like any other, given the support that they need. We also have barriers like environmental barriers, the issues of accessibility that you had raised. They are very key. That is one of the hindrances to service provision or participation of persons with disabilities on an equal basis with others. Right. Let us ensure that our environment, our services are accessible to all. Always think about the different categories of impairments that exist. We have the mental, persons with mental impairments. How best do you think you can accommodate them? We have people with hearing impairments. How best can we ensure that services are accessible to them? We have got people with physical impairments, even those on wheelchairs or those using crutches. How do we ensure that they are able to access our services? It's through ensuring that the environment is accessible. So we also have institutional barriers where laws are not accessible. Sometimes it's just a simple law as simple as ensuring that the staff are aware that when a person with disability comes in, ensure that they are saved first. You would find they are saved and they'll go back and they would have gotten that service. So once the barriers are removed, the impairment itself might not even matter.
Well, thank you so much, Madam.
You're welcome.
Well, dear viewers, that was Zapid Rehabilitation Officer Ruth Litebele emphasizing on the importance of Zapid card, among other things. If you or someone you know has a disability, don't wait, get informed, get registered, and access your rights. As a disability card is just as an important, isn't just a disability card isn't just a paper. It is a foundation for empowerment. For more information, visit our website at zapid.org.zm, Zapid Facebook, or contact your local Zapid office. Remember, nothing about us without us. On behalf of the production team and Zanis management, it's goodbye for now.